Hello, everybody. Scott here again in place of Jake. And I got a great guest today for another Volley Rally. John Frazier, Fix Ops Director in Louisville for BMW of Louisville. And he's got quite a lot on his plate. John, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you, Scott?
Oh, good. So I thought it'd be great to get together. John is kind of the fix-it manager, and he's been in his career. If you followed him on LinkedIn, I highly recommend you follow him on LinkedIn. He's very active and has a lot of good inspirational posts and stuff. But John, you go into a place, and we're going to talk about breaking things down and starting from the ground up. You're kind of the rebuild guy, right?
Yeah. It's demolition on day one, seems like, I've not found myself stepping into stores and departments where, the torch was shining brightly already and I just pick it up and keep going. It's often that as opposed to fix ops, it's broken ops and somebody's got to fix it. And processes non-existent, no standards, expectations, accountability is an afterthought. Um, you can tell it's departments that have been ran reactively rather than proactively.
Sure. And I want to get to the BDC in particular, but before we get there, so what are the main things that you had to come in and walk in outside of the BDC?
Ooh, I came into when I actually 2 years ago when I got here to Kentucky, coming into a store that for 10 years had it been broken under our company's ownership, and it was the wild, wild west to say the least. I mean, it was things going out the back door, processes not being followed. Documentation was non-existent. I mean, just was bleeding from every place it could bleed from, and that was a probably the most complete rebuild I'd ever done from staffing, processes, everything, and solid 9, 10 months, but completely flipped that around to a profitable, customer satisfactory operation.
So you've been on Volley 6, 7 months, but that wasn't the first thing you did. What was your first priority when you came in and took the job?
To find out where things were seeping out at, find out where we were bleeding, um, looking at the schedules, the open RO list, walking the lots, touching cars, seeing where we are just to get a grasp on the business. You know, Traffic wasn't too much of an issue. We had a pretty good inflow of traffic, but we didn't really know what to do with it once it hit the service drive. It was kind of all over the place. So it was just creating order around the service process itself.
Any advice for people when they step into this, what their first month should be? I mean, you probably wore lots of hats.
Yeah, definitely. This one store in particular that we completely redid. It was, I was writing service, doing internals, dispatching. We didn't have a warranty administrator, so I was doing that after hours, and trying to manage all the fires, in the interim. And that was a solid 4 or 5 months till I started to get some of the right people on the team. My advice would be, look at everything and watch everything at minimum for the first month. Don't jump right in and change things until you see how it's working, because you might have the right people, but they were just under the wrong leadership. So you don't want to make any permanent decisions off of a temporary situation.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And when you said it, I know you're right. It's super hard to follow though at times, right? Just because
Yeah,
you want it all fixed tomorrow. So
yeah, no doubt.
did you turn a lot of people? You probably found some big winners and who you already had also.
You know, I I I I gave a lot of grace initially, for 3, 4, 5 months. And I found that this particular store, from a staffing standpoint, we only have one person there that was there when I got there. Everyone else came in new. And this is, 10 technicians, 3 parts people, 2 managers, 3 advisors. Never my intent to um, terminate anybody. I actually let when I come into a new place, I sort of just let people decide. And I let them decide by, hey, this is how we're going to do it. This is the process. Um, I allow them to have some ownership in it, and helping create it. How could we do this better? The wrong people tend to um, exit stage right, if you will. They just, if they're not there for the team and not there for the customer, when you try to put those processes and standards in place, they normally just they show themselves. They'll let you know if they're part of the problem or the solution.
I had a friend who always said, uh, some people have too much of a past to have a future. They may be good people,
Yeah.
but they might need a change to do that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly.
So the BDC is you'd never had technology there, and you run three stores with your BDC, all different
Right.
types of brands, of course.
Correct.
Um, Tell me what it was like starting up and adding technology to the BDC.
Well, the BDC was on my radar, day one. I knew that we needed some sort of order to it. I initially didn't have a BDC director on staff. It was a few people in a room answering calls, and there was just no direction. Most importantly, there was no visibility around what was going on. And the time that when I was first here, I'm thinking about fires on the ground
Yeah.
and trying to watch appointment count and some of those things that the BDC has a direct effect on, and call handling and things. But um, it certainly wasn't a priority at first because I had to get things on the ground fixed. So um, the BDC initially was um, it was kind of all over the place. It just wasn't, there was no order to it. There was no process.
Well, I will say, looking at your numbers, when you guys started out, uh, answering the phones was a little bit variable. Now these stores have their phones answered at a world-class level. They do.
Yeah, yeah, most certainly. The process that Volley creates for it is it's hard not to answer the phone.
Well, the feedback is pretty immediate if you don't. And I mean, literally for anyone reaching out, and if you feel like you're in John's shoes, we've got a lot of people I mean, the BDC is just one part of it. John is a good mentor, and he's very generous with his time. You guys are world class at answering the phone. Probably have some opportunity in speeding them up on outbound too, though.
Hmm. Right.
So what were the biggest learnings that you had adding technology to the BDC?
And the most obvious is, the things we weren't doing, um, the things we weren't saying, the way the calls were being handled. You don't know what you don't know, and Volley sort of peels back the layers of things that go into a BDC, and from its ability to, you know, give you an idea of what your most busiest times are, your peak times, the heat maps, the ability to grade the calls and to hold the agents accountable to what they're doing. Man, that was the biggest thing for me, to be able to see all the stuff we couldn't see before. Because, before it was just phones ringing and we hope somebody answers.
So what are your goals for 2026 for the department?
The goals, definitely traffic. We've got to increase traffic and outbound. We've been working very closely with your team there at Volley. Teresa and I just had a call actually yesterday with Madison, and we're finding a lot of opportunities to increase our outbound. Teresa is on this, that's our BDC director. She is on this treasure hunt to find any VIN number that's tied to a phone number that she can stick in Volley. And so traffic is big for us this year. We had an incredible, just by fixing our processes year over year, not really much of an increase in traffic, just fixing our processes. We had an incredible year over year in profitability. So this year is going to be tough to beat unless we do one thing, and that's traffic. We're going to have to
Yeah.
get more tires across the drive.
Um, what else outside of the BDC? Any big goals for the department? Obviously, traffic. Any other technology you're looking to bring on? Any staffing changes, not subtractions. I meant as far as uh, new things that you haven't taken on, et cetera.
For me, this year, some other goals are growing our wholesale. Our stores do pretty good in wholesale, but we do a lot of wholesale outside of our market. And I think I've got some relationships to rebuild inside of our market with wholesale. Um, my biggest goal, obviously, the past 2 years has been rebuilding, and we've got a lot of new staff. The past year, I've been at our BMW store. I've got an all new service drive, pretty green guys and gals on the service drive, elevating the customer experience. That's top of the list. I think that's our best form of advertisement. So, this year is going to be polishing the edges, increasing traffic, increasing wholesale, repairing relationships. Because now we've got the stores pretty solid. We're operating really well. Now I need everybody to know about it.
Well, it's one of those things. I was on with another one of our dealer customers, and he said, and definitely you can take BMW or Volvo, especially. I know CDJR is that's the third store, but um, you have very little competition for new stores or new car sales in Louisville, but
Right.
you have dozens and dozens of places where they can service it.
That's
So
right.
a lot of
Right.
the service, it's just simply making it easy for them to come in and feeling good about it. It's not even about pricing.
Right. Right. It's really not. Pricing becomes an afterthought if the service is there at the forefront.
Yeah, I think you've nailed it. I again, everyone, go on LinkedIn and I don't know if it's called friend request, but connect with John Frazier. He's a great follow. He's inspirational. Just a dang good dude. Any other advice for people today at all?
Grace. 2026 is my word is grace this year. I made a post today, in fact, about it. It just seems that everybody's a little bit on the edge, and there's the society, economy, the just things we're struggling with in life has got us in a almost a survival mode, if you will. And I think in a business like the automotive industry, where the goalpost is always moving, there's a lot of things to navigate. I think grace. We need to have a lot more grace this year.
Yeah. Well, good stuff, and you're totally right. So,
Yeah.
John, thanks again, and it's another Volley Rally. Appreciate you being on.
Yeah. Thank you.